Hi there. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. Here we are, Tuesday night, as always. I know I've said this before, but I really, really love these Tuesday nights. I'm always kind of thinking like late into Monday, early into Tuesday, exactly what am I going to say? What am I going to do? There's ideas. I have it all going through my head. Of course, we already have the intention that's already out, but I don't know. I just really like the way it all just kind of pulls together there. I really like Tuesdays. Let me just say that. Hi, Nikita. Thanks for being here. Always, always, always. So, this week, our intention. If you don't know, the intention is always released on Sundays. I release it to the social media pages. So I release it to Facebook, Instagram, and I just recently found out that I can make posts on YouTube also. So I'm going to start putting it on there for those that tune in on YouTube and don't use other social media places. So that way, it's available elsewhere. Hey, Kim. Hey, Brenda. Hey, guys. Thanks for being here. Oh, man, I really appreciate it. Always. Every Sunday I release the intention. The intention is based off of the astrology and the transits and the energy that's going on in the sky, just kind of what I see going on. I think about all of that, put it together, and come up with an intention that we can all share here together in a place where we can share the intention, but yet you can tailor it to your own lives. We're not necessarily doing this meditation in person with each other. You're doing it from your own homes while we're doing it together, so you can change, omit, whatever you need to make it work for you. So come up with the intention. I release it on Sunday, so that way you have a couple days to kind of sit with it yourself before any external input or anything, or before I say anything. And you can just kind of sit with it yourself and see what comes up at first. I feel like those first kind of thoughts, those first things that come up while you think about the intention often are something that you should focus on, whether it seems to pertain or not. Usually that's kind of your inner self telling you something, giving you little tidbits of where to focus. So this week, our intention is one step at a time, I see progression. One step at a time, I see progression. So if this is the first time you've heard our intention, I want you to sit with that for just a moment. Sit with those words, and what are the first things that come up? How does that make you feel? Is there any way that you feel any wording you need to change, or anything at all like that? Totally free game. One step at a time, I see progression. So I started with the word progress, and then I changed it to progression just because it seemed a little bit more, maybe a little bit more open-ended, maybe. I don't know, just a little bit more free, a little bit more like long-term process, not traveling, like a path or something, just something a little bit more, I don't know, a little less definitive to me, a little bit more open-ended or obscured or not quite defined, or whatever you want to call it. So progression, I looked up the definition of that, and we got progress of developing or moving gradually towards a more advanced state. The key word there is gradual for me. Process of developing or moving gradually towards a more advanced state. One step at a time, gradually, okay? So progression and moving forward is a gradual process, and it's a process that is not always linear. I know we all know that, but it helps to have reminders of that. And this week we have our solar eclipse, on Thursday. So that's a big part of the intention, and the aspect that we have leading up to that is Saturn sextiling the North Node. So Saturn from the sign of Pisces making a sextile to the north nodes in the sign of Taurus. I know we've talked about this before because this is a long-term aspect. We've been working on it for most of April, and it's going to be pulling into almost mid-May as well. So this transit that we have is setting up the tone for the eclipse. It's starting to build. It's been throughout the month of April. It's been kind of building building towards the eclipse, and even though even though this transit is about 5 degrees away from the point of the eclipse, the nodes of the moon are what gives us the eclipse. So I find that, so I still think that it's significant because Saturn is aspecting the nodal point, which is our marker for the eclipses and tells us where the eclipse points are going to occur. So this is Saturn. This is setting the structure in the tone and I want to say limitations because that's my key word for Saturn, but we're talking about the sign of Pisces here, okay? Saturn in the sign of Pisces has kind of felt like boundaries have kind of had no boundaries. So like Pisces is that place that's, you know, kind of like between two worlds. So there can be this natural like confusion or changeability, and it kind of seems like since Saturn has been in Pisces, it's like trying to make boundaries and make its limitations and put its foot down, but it's kind of having a little bit of a hard time in this watery place, especially after spending so much time in its own sign. So we have the structure setting up that's been working towards the eclipse throughout, you know, for the last couple weeks here, but at the same time, it's hard for Saturn really to find that that grounding and like confidence within itself, within the sign of Pisces. It might be a little bit more emotional. It might feel a little more heavy, a little bit more melancholic. So this has been what's setting up towards the eclipse. You can also look towards what sign. I would look to what houses Pisces is in your chart, and that might give you further hints of to what topics might be kind of coming up through this eclipse. Remember that the eclipses are not typically, at least in my experience, they're not typically something that happens overnight. It's not a quick transit. Eclipses are long period tracks that kind of take us back and forth for quite a while. So we have this transit that's been leading up to the eclipse, and then we have our solar eclipse on Thursday, and here where I'm at in the Eastern time zone, it's at 12:12 a.m. Like the synchronicity of that time there with the repetition, even though I don't have a whole lot of numerology background, I'm not going to pretend like I do. But I do like when I see synchronicity within numbers, so I think that's really, really neat. So this solar eclipse is going to be at 29 degrees of Aries. For an engagement range of planets within your own chart, I would look between somewhere around like 26 degrees moving forward to like maybe 4 degrees of a new sign. So I would give it a couple more degrees on the applying end of the aspect. Plus that gets us a little bit closer to those nodal points there too as well. So this solar eclipse, it's like I said, 29 degrees of Aries. It feels very like energetic, a bit very emotion driven and very like center focused rather than broad view. Few little keywords that I felt kind of fit there. So signatures of this eclipse here. We have Jupiter in Aries in the sign where the eclipse is going to be occurring. We've had Jupiter there for quite a while. We're all probably starting to realize that this is a bit of a fiery place for Jupiter, and Jupiter's might be kind of revving up in that area for you. So it's a very outward expression place for the planet of expansion and wisdom. It's very loud, very vocal. I feel like we're kind of seeing that at least in the American society since Jupiter's been in Aries. And yeah, so we have Jupiter there with it. Since this eclipse is in Aries, the host or the dispositor of the eclipse, so this is going to be the ruler of Aries, is Mars. Mars is in the sign of Cancer right now. So Mars is in its detriment. This is considered to be a less favorable place for Mars and almost a one of the more negative places for Mars to be because it's not a very Mars-like area. So Mars in Cancer can feel a bit angsty, like it's kind of like it's spinning its wheels and maybe feels like a little bit unheard, or like I feel like I'm not being heard or I will be heard, so I'm going to roar and speak as loudly as I can in order to make sure that I'm heard type of thing. So it's a very emotional place for Mars. It's very emotion driven. So since there's a lot of drive and a lot of energy around this eclipse, being just the fact that it's in Aries, we have Jupiter right there. The eclipse is hosted by Mars. So it's very, very motivated and very driven, but it's bringing in this emotional part of it too, which doesn't always meet for the most logical actions. We also have Uranus right there as well. We have Uranus in Taurus, and at the time of the eclipse, Mars is going to be sextiling Uranus in the sign of Taurus. So this is going to give Mars a little bit of that extra oomph to speak loudly if it needs to get its point across. So we have Mars action drive, forward energy in this emotional position, while it's also talking to Uranus, the planet of surprise and rebellion, and pushing against boundaries and pushing against limitations. So you see where this is kind of like an angsty place for Mars. So it has a lot of power behind it. It has a lot of different energies behind it there. We also have Mercury stationing to transition into its retrograde phase less than 4 hours after the eclipse is direct. So you might as well say that it's stationing at the time of the eclipse. This is the time where Mercury appears to be not moving, to be holding still. Of course, we know that it's not really moving still, but it appears to be from our location before it appears to change direction and move backward in its motion. So this is a powerful point for the planet too, because it's in this stationing, this positioning mode. So this is our mind and our thoughts, and the way we communicate and the way we perceive things coming into this very powerful position. So you see all this power behind it. You have the power of Mars, of your ambition and your drive, of your action. You have the power of Mercury. You have the power of Uranus. You have the power of Jupiter. There's lots of power and lots of motivation behind this eclipse here. And so the eclipse is at 29 degrees, right? So 29 degrees of Aries. Like 15 minutes later, the sun is going to move into the sign of Taurus. So it's going to hit 0 degrees of Taurus, like 15 minutes later. So we have this big, huge, powerful energy, and then we have this big, huge change at the same time. And at the time of this change, you're going to have the interaction between Pluto and the sun, okay? I feel like this is very fitting for a 29-degree eclipse because being at the last degree of a sign, at this anaretic degree, it brings in this feeling of completion and something new starting here, okay? So kind of look at the 29th degree as kind of like the elderly degree. It's a place of change, it's a place of finishing, a place of moving on, but there's a lot of knowledge and there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of information and a lot of already have been through. There's a lot of, I was going to say practical knowledge, so I guess I'll say that, but that's not really the word I was looking for. There's a lot of useful knowledge. There's a lot of stuff that we can pull forward into the next phase, or, we're talking, like I said, elderly degree, so you could think like the next generation if you're thinking like of a person being elderly. So there's a lot that you can bring forward into this next phase because of all of this stuff that's behind you here. So coming right into we have the solar eclipse and then coming right into the square with Pluto, the planet of transformation. But how does Pluto transform? Pluto transforms by breaking things down to the bare bones, exposing whatever needs to go away, and then rebuilding. But usually in very like, sometimes very like extreme ways. So Pluto breaks down before it rebuilds, and then it comes into, so we have this powerful change for the sun here, this powerful moment, and then we have this change of transformation and this change right into moving into, sorry, I lost my words there for a second. I just kind of need to make sure I'm explaining this right. So we have the sun at this, let's say the elderly degree, at this anaretic point, this very powerful eclipse point of Aries, and then it moves into the sign of Taurus, and it instantly comes into interaction with Pluto, where it's going to be transformed and rebuilt into something else, and something hopefully a little bit better here. This is also the first eclipse for a new eclipse cycle that's going to be in the sign of Aries and Libra. We still do visit Scorpio and Taurus a little bit, but we're phasing out of that. This is our first eclipse on this axis. So do you see these changes that we have here? We have like all of this power, but we have like all of these changes behind us at the same time here. So, you know, we have like this super powerful, knowledgeable wisdom degree along with Jupiter sitting right there. It's motivated because it's Aries. Mars is a little emotionally driven, but that's okay as long as we know how to work through that and not to like let it take over. That's okay. But then we have all these changes at the same time. Mercury is hitting retrograde. It's moving. It's in this applying phase towards Uranus. It's going to get to like within 2 degrees of Uranus, and then it's going to change back and it's going to repeat all of the degrees that it's already went through in Taurus. And then once it goes directed, then it's going to repeat everything it's went through in Taurus for a 3rd time, and then it will finally move on and make this aspect with Uranus. I'm not exactly sure what I think of that quite yet. So we have Mercury making this quick change into retrograde motion. We have the Sun making this quick change from Aries into Taurus. We have, you know, this, not necessarily a quick change, but we have this change from within the eclipse cycles here. So there's this big energetic motion and this big switch or change around it. And I feel like that requires a little bit of extra attention to like bring it all together and kind of focus it all. So that is where I bring in, the intention of one step at a time. I see progression. Because I see that with these changes, these immediate changes, I wonder about kind of getting like hung up, like you're on a path and then all of a sudden kind of like something changes, the energy changes, like, oh, left turn a little bit. No, it's all part of the path. It's all part of the progression. And that's that, you know, it's that gradual linear change. So also with the gradual part, keep emphasizing that. Because with this Aries energy, even though Mars is in Cancer, I feel like it could be a little like over embellished a little bit, like, I don't want to say too forward, but that can be a thing at times, right? So one step at a time, I see progression, not getting too far ahead of ourselves, not thinking we should be further along than we are. Mars in Cancer feel like it's spinning its wheels. Also, Mars in Cancer has this like very much like, I hadn't mentioned the like home and roots either. We're in the sign of Cancer here, right? So it very much can be like protecting home and protecting roots within some degree of it too. So yeah, you have like, and that's part of where the emotion comes too, is it's like the crab protecting what is its. Yeah, so one step at a time, I see progression. I don't want you getting hung up on anything of where you think you should be. You have lots of power behind you, and you are going on your path at exactly the right time that you should be going on your path. So I don't know. That's the only soapbox that I have here. So let's see, a couple of comments here. Super emotional. Yes, totally. Yeah, I have. Mars in Cancer, like natally, so it's an all the time thing, and yeah, it's very emotional. I see that a lot too, just out like socially, like in the public too. I see that a lot here. I was just thinking about nonlinear progress too. Yes, up and down, round and round, right? That's why I go with progress or progression rather than just. I feel like progress just seems, I don't know, it just seems more maybe judgy. I don't know, something like that. Pluto, like the planetary tower card. Yes, exactly. Everything's stacked up there and ready to go. Yes, that's a great example, and that's a good. If you're into tarot, that's a good visual too. The tower card. So this week, our intention, one step at a time, I see progression. You might notice that we have a different intentional candle tonight. Usually we use the small white candle, but today we're going to use this big red candle that I've had for quite some time. I don't know, I've had it for a while, and it's eclipse week, so it's going progress over perfection. Yes, Kim, the Kims are on it tonight. Progress over perfection, absolutely. That is kind of what I was getting at here with the wording difference. So yeah, we usually use the small white candle, but it's eclipse week. I don't know, I've had this candle for a while, and it just feels right to use it. Usually, the smaller candles, I will burn the whole candle, but I won't like put it out or anything after the meditation. I usually burn it to the end. This one I will put out, and I will burn it a little bit each day until the eclipse. So I'm going to use this today, tomorrow, and the next day here. Aries eclipse red candle. Yes, exactly. See, Kristen, it just so happens to be in my candle toolbox at the right time. So we're going to light our intentional candle, and as we watch the flame grow, our intention grows. One step at a time, I see progression. One step at a time, I see progression. If you haven't already, find yourself a nice, comfortable position. Anything you have to do beforehand, go for it. You can get up and run and do whatever it is that you need to do. Don't feel like you need to wait or anything. Get comfortable, make sure you're warm, not too cold, all of that stuff. And I like to sit up on a cushion, up on my pillow. If you're ready to jump right in with closing your eyes, go ahead and do so. If you're not quite ready to close your eyes yet, that is fine. I suggest just kind of letting your gaze just kind of soften, find something to kind of not necessarily focus on, but kind of look past. It helps maybe to kind of look down towards your nose at times and just kind of let your gaze fall upon what it falls upon. So as you start to settle in, I want you first to take a moment to notice your breath and notice how you're feeling at this very moment. Always, always making space for where you are when you come to this space. Remember, this is your safe space. This is your own space. Your meditation, your space, your rules. And if you can't be honest with yourself, then who else can you really be honest with? If you need to sit with where you're at for a moment, go ahead and do so. And as you are ready to move forward, start to think about deepening your breath just a little bit. If you haven't moved on to this step, that's okay. We will catch up and meet up together. We'll take our time. As you move forward, start to Deepen your breath. Just focus on each inhale being a little bit deeper than the one before it, and each exhale releasing a little bit more than the breath before that. As you continue to breathe in and out and actively and consciously participate in this exchange of breath that we often just take for granted and our body does autonomically, you start to make space for yourself within your own body. Think about that for just a moment. You're making space for yourself in your own body. Is it really that there wasn't space before? We cram ourselves up with everything else that we hold on to throughout the day, throughout the weeks, and the months, and the years. So as you breathe in and out, make space for yourself. Make space for yourself to take up your whole being, your real self and your true self. Progression. It's different for each and every one of us. Non-linear, non-judgmental progression. Gradually moving towards an advanced state. All progression means is that you're moving up one step at a time. There's no need to run up those stairs right now. One step at a time, you are taking back control of your breath, and therefore your body, your mind, and your emotions, and your energy. We are taking up all of the space within our physical being. Jupiter in the sign of Aries, expansion within the sign of physicality, the sign of beginnings, the sign of new birth. Think of a newborn baby who takes up all of the space and all that it needs and does not regret or feel any shame for requesting its needs to be met. As you continue this process of breathing in and out, your breath flows in and out your lungs. Each time you bring a new breath into your body, you feel it cooling your throat, filling your lungs fully. Your abdomen may even distend and push out as your navel moves away from its spine, bringing in all of this wonderful, life-giving oxygen into your body to be dispersed throughout every little bit, every organ system of your body. Feel that energy, feel that oxygen coming in, and on the exhale, you feel your lungs empty. You feel your abdomen move back into a neutral position. And on the exhale, your body releases its waste byproduct. Your body physically releases gases that are not needed, while you release stress and energy that holds you down and is not needed. And just as if our respiratory balance is out of whack and we are not properly bringing in what we need and releasing what we need to release, our body becomes a toxic area. The same thing happens with energy. If we are not bringing in the positive energy that we need while releasing what holds us down and what our body truly does not need, it also becomes a toxic field that does not serve you any justice. As you bring in what you need and release what no longer serves you, you feel grounded, you feel stable, you feel strong. You feel the surface beneath you, and you feel how it's connected to the surface below that, all the way to the connection to Mother Earth. Feel the pulsating love of Gaia below us, supporting us at all times, grounding us, stabilizing us with infinite maternal love. Mars is in Cancer right now, and everybody needs some motherly love. Everybody needs that feminine, loving embrace. And it is with you at all times, but you feel it especially right now. Earth stabilizes you and wraps her arms around you, even when you don't remember it. Even when it slips our mind. You feel the power and the strength within you, the grounding, stabilizing surface below you, and the loving, supporting energy that surrounds you. Take note of any little tidbits that come to your mind throughout this meditation. For instance, so I see a little green light, some beautiful pink flowers. I'm going to hold on to those and remember those later. Any little flashes or images that may come to your mind are gifts from the universe, and if there are none, that's okay too. They come to all of us in different ways. I want you to picture yourself sitting underneath a tree. See yourself from the position of sitting under the tree, not from an outside view. So you're sitting under a tree in a very beautiful environment. What is it that you see around your environment? Look around you and take note of what you see, hear, smell, feel. Once you've taken in all the beauty and the glory that is surrounding you at the moment, your attention turns to yourself for just a moment, and you realize that you are actually an infant baby sitting underneath this tree. Wasn't expecting that. But you are perfectly content, and you are admiring beauty all the same, perhaps even a little more so. And then you start to grow a little bit, and then you realize that you're able to move around. You're sitting up straight. And then you fall forward onto your hands. Now you learn to crawl. Push your bottom up into the air and use those arms and legs. So now you learn that you can start to crawl, and you start to crawl away from the tree a little bit, not too far. You can tent for a little while in this space, but you can see some sun beyond the trees, so you start to crawl a little bit more and a little bit faster. Before you know it, you're up walking, moving towards what seems to be something a little bit better. As you continue to walk forward towards the sunlight, you start to grow more and more, grow taller, wider, wiser, smarter. You start to learn and you start to grow, and you continue on towards where you're going, towards the sun, just out into the bright light. That's where you're going. Not any one fixed destination, just out into the light. Here we are at the edge of the tree cover, and we can feel the light coming down around it. We step out into that beautiful sunlight. Ooh, feel that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sun. Feel those rays coming down, penetrating your skin and your soul. You just knew that where you were going was going to be good. And here it is. Even better than you thought. One step at a time, you got there. There's no need to hurry as long as you are moving forward one step at a time. Here are the footsteps of you moving forward one step at a time. Here you are, basking in the sun, basking in the eternal energy source. our astrological representation of source, spirit, masculine energy that is within all of us. Yes, masculine and feminine within each and every one of us. The sun protects, keeps us safe. Beautiful protective energy. The earth protects us, keeps us safe. That wonderful, protective, guiding energy. You are supported, so you can move forward one step at a time. Powerful, powerful Aries sun penetrating you with its beautiful energy. You thought you were energized before. Now you are buzzing with energy. Before you know it, you realize you've been sitting and standing in this one place for quite some time, basking in the sun, because it is no longer overhead, but now the sun is behind you. It's still up fairly high in the sky, but it's time to move on and keep walking forward. And the sun is now at your back rather than directly overhead. Still warming you, still lighting your way, still there for you, always with the promise of returning for another day. As you continue to walk, you feel the light of the sun, this powerful sun, beaming in through your back, right through your being. Feel it energizing and empowering you and moving you forward. And as that light moves you forward, it bursts forward out of your chest like a prism into many, many beautiful colors. And what is in front of you is illuminated like it has never been illuminated before. I'm going to ask you again, what colors did you see? Mental notes. Come back to these little tidbits. Together we take a nice big deep breath in, and we feel the power of the sun, the solar eclipse sun behind our back, coming directly into our being, entering right into your heart space, right into the center where your soul resides, where that connection is to the divine and to every other person on this earth. Breathe in that energy that is bursting from your chest. And as you exhale, you don't release it, but you let it flow. Inhaling in, feel that power filling you up, energizing you and empowering you. Exhale. Let that light and energy flow. continue this process, continue experiencing. Keep filling yourself up and letting your energy flow. All of the energy that you are cultivating right now is with you at all times. All you need to come back to this space is your breath and your mind. Where can you fit in for just a couple seconds or a couple minutes for your breath? I say that now because remember how this feels. Remember how good and how empowering this space feels. It's enough right there to draw you back. And as you continue forward on your journey, one step at a time, seeing progression in your own fashion, in your own non-linear fashion, you move forward with the support and the energy that you have cultivated right here. This right here is all you. Bringing my hands together in a prayer position, this time to my forehead, because that's what seems right. And I thank you. I thank you for showing up here, first and foremost for yourself, for your energy, and for your well-being, but also for myself, everybody else that is participating in this meditation, as well as the entire collective human consciousness. Because we know that it only takes a small percentage of the population to work on raising the energy and increasing positivity and releasing negativity to make a widespread effect. Thank you for your service to yourself, to myself, and to others. Thank you. So this week, the big focus is the solar eclipse that we have. And I know in the beginning, I always ramble a lot. Anybody ever has any suggestions of making that better? I'm totally open ears. I can take constructive criticism as long as you're not being an a-hole about it. Anyways, this eclipse has so much power and so much strength behind it that I could see us either just bursting forward and moving at just an exponential speed, or feeling like we're not moving at that exponential speed that we should. And yeah, one step at a time, I see progression. You don't have to be the first person at the finish line or the last person or in the middle or anywhere as long as you get to the finish line. I'm trying to stay off my soapbox, so that's all I'm going to try to say about that. Ooh, Melissa, new moon candle. I want to see your new candle. Can you send me a picture of your new moon candle, please? I love candles. Actually, our power went out today. The electric company was working on the power lines around the corner, and we had our power was off for, I don't know, a few hours, maybe like 2-3 hours. And I think my husband was probably pretty happy and pretty thankful for all of the random candles that I have around this house, because we had lots of candles to light, so that way we still had some light in the areas where there isn't so much light. It was great. So thank you for joining me here. Go forward into this energy with feeling very empowered and very energized and ready to move forward. Remember, these eclipses aren't always aren't things that play out, so we're thinking more long term, okay? Think about the process and think about the progression and move forward with that. Solar eclipse, sun and moon together, new moon, so it's planting the seeds. The lunar eclipse is going to be at the full moon. So starting this lunar cycle with the full moon, or sorry, with the new moon here, lots of extra people follow the lunar cycle of the solar eclipse, but I'm going to challenge you to follow this cycle as a starting point of following the cycles, the lunar cycles. And bring this intention with you into the week. Write it down on a sticky note, or put a sticky note on your computer, like a virtual sticky note, like the little notepad thing, or on your phone or something. And look at it and remind yourself about it. Write down on a piece of paper, whatever it is that you need to do. To bring it into the rest of your week. Those little reminders will bring you back to this space and bring you back to this energy that you were in. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you loved it. Like I said, I'm always open to suggestions and anything else. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. Kim, oh, you're so sweet. Feels like a good flow. Good. I'm glad you think so, because I don't know. It's that Mercury retrograde natal thing here, But sticky note mantra. Yeah, I have so many sticky notes that I just leave, like, I don't know, all around on my desk and whatnot. And it's just, I like having a pad of sticky notes next to me, like even at meditation or yoga or whatever, just so that way, like, quick little thoughts that I have, I can write down. Or I have like a notes thing on my phone too, and I have so many little like open notes there on there. So yeah, anything that you can do to bring into it. I'm really excited to have this candle for the next couple days, and to keep bringing in the energy that we've cultivated here into it, and continue projecting it out into all of you. So thank you so much. That's this little formation here that I have going on is a energy projection thing. I guess I didn't really talk about that at the beginning, but we have one of my favorite quartzes here. This is one of my favorite guys, bringing energy into the area, into the circle. My cubes here, my tiger's eye is my absolute favorite. It's the first crystal I ever got, and cubes, very grounding, very stabilizing here, and bringing forward the energy of our intentional candle. My favorite piece of kyanite here brings open communication, especially from other realms, and we're bringing it all forward towards the camera and into the community, into everybody else, with like the crystals that are pointing into this direction. So there is a method to the madness here with what's going on and directing all the energy. So I'm always here throughout the week if anybody has anything else to say or talk about or whatever. So new intention will be released next Sunday, and I will see you next Tuesday. So have a great week. Enjoy the solar eclipse, Mercury retrograde starting, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Thank you. Mwah.